The New World Order exerts its dominance over the entire world, and the nations who do not play ball are the ones that are demonized in the media. Today I will talk about the New World Order and how global institutions want to protect that and preserve that. And there's for obvious reasons, because without that, without individuals like you and I coming on here, they are not able to do what they need to do, and that is to squeeze the life out of us. War on terror is not the only threat. This article comes out of the Atlantic Council. For those who don't know, the Atlantic Council is a big think tank, and they advise politicians and governments all around the world. And what they're saying is that it's not Al-Qaeda that's the problem, it's individuals like Edward Snowden. Let me get into it very quickly. They're saying right here at the very top, Al-Qaeda is, not the biggest problem here. The major enemy and adversary are no longer states like China, but they are what they call non-state actors. And they are Edward Snowden, Bradley Manning, the hackers, and anonymous individuals. Why? Because they're the individual. They don't go and use the government sector. They don't use the governments at all. They do their own work for themselves. And of course, think tanks like the Atlantic Council are speaking to politicians who really don't want this to happen. And of course, they're somehow getting this way right now with, basically forcing Edward Snowden to leave the country. They're making arrests and all this sort of talk is happening. But let me go on very quickly, because the threat ultimately is not Al-Qaeda, it's, individuals like you and I. And they talk about an extraordinary crisis being useful to preserve what they have, and I'll get into what I'm talking about in a second. But they need an extraordinary crisis. To me, that means something like a 9/11. A 9/11 event was somehow they were able to pass the Patriot Act basically unanimously without any opposition. It went right through. After the Oklahoma City bombings, they had another law, I believe it was the Anti-Terrorism Act, pardon the name there, but they passed another law. They have the NDAA. It's always after a crisis that occurs, and they can pass these laws that do nothing but leech off of us. They are not used against terror, quote-unquote terrorism, because even the Atlantic Council is saying it's not terrorists that we're used to in caves plotting revenge. They are individuals like Edward Snowden who are simply just telling the truth, because telling the truth is really a bad thing in this day and age, in this Orwellian nightmare that we live in. They also talk about reducing and eliminating the dangers. How do you eliminate the danger posed by Edward Snowden? Well, if you have a law called the NDAA, perhaps you can indefinitely detain, torture, and then murder him like they have done before. So that's what they plan on doing. The Atlantic Council is advising people to do that. That's great. They use the term the New World Order, a conspiracy theorist term. Wow, I can't believe that it was actually said. The New World Order, which was, according to this, was initially coined by George H.W. Bush. And that New World Order is very real, because the New World Order is something that we have to live under, because the countries, when they get together in the G8 and the G20 meetings, they make laws that we cannot vote on. They are imposed on us. They have the IMF and all these other institutions that are imposing laws upon us that we don't get to vote on. We don't even want. But it's the New World Order. It's the system that they want, that they are continuously expanding, and of course has nothing to do with our good will. Let me go on very quickly. This is the Project of the New American Century, the PNAC, and this is Dick Cheney and other high-level individuals, another think tank here, and said that right here. Further, the process of transformation, even if it brings revolutionary change, is likely to be a long one, absent some catastrophic and catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor. In 2001, they advised a new Pearl Harbor to occur. What do you think these individuals are working for? They're working behind the scenes to destroy America, destroy the rest of the world, the first world nations, and bring everyone down to a developing world so that we are dependent on the government. And then, of course, the government will say, don't worry, I'll take care of you. Just sign here on this dot, and we just take your life away. And your children and your grandchildren will live under our state protection, the ultimate nanny state, the goal of any communist nation. I will go on. That's basically where I want to get to. I just wanted to say that the government is trying to collude with think tanks. They're trying to collude with the big corporations and the multinational institutions like the Atlantic Council and others. But basically, they do not want have our best interests in mind. That's pretty obvious, and they want to preserve what they call a new world order. That is not our term that we use. That's their term, and we're simply quoting them. I wanted to tell you guys it's very important that you look into the description of the videos that I do, because I do have, a link for my book. I have my free ebooks here as well, and a link to get on the Money GPS Insiders. And not to forget, here at the very bottom there is the Amazon store where you can go in, you can get the things like the Berkey water filter, which to me is the best water filter that is available. And it's cleaned out the fluoride for me, and I've had it for a few years now, and personally I don't want the hydrofluorosilicic acid in my blood, in my brain, destroying my pineal gland and destroying my bones, osteosarcoma. You can read the ebook that I have on it. It's right there. I highly recommend going to those links, click around, and let me know what you think.